So we're moving along with our discussion of WAN connections, and we're going to talk about point-to-point connections. And quite simply, point-to-point connections are connections that only have two endpoints, hence the name point-to-point. I just have a habit for overstating the obvious. More specifically, these are direct T1, not MPLS or frame relay connections between two routers, meaning that you have a dedicated T1 connection from one end of the circuit to the other, and there's only two devices that could ever be on that point-to-point connection. Now, when you're talking about point-to-point connections, or serial connections, as you'll hear them referred to in the Cisco world, they come in two basic flavors. The first is HDLC, that stands for the High-Level Data Link Control Protocol. HDLC is used by default on Cisco routers. It's a Cisco proprietary protocol, and to be honest, it just works. You'll notice when we look at our lab that I've configured a very simple point-to-point connection. I've configured exactly 3 statements on the interface configuration, which is the IP address and no shutdown. And then after that, you'll notice that it just comes up and works. You're able to see the router on the other end, you're able to ping it, and so on and so forth. So that's a very nice thing if you have all Cisco routers all across your network. You can use Cisco's HDLC serial connection. However, if you need interoperability, if you need to talk to other network devices, say a Juniper or a 3Com or a Foundry router, you'll have to use PPP, or the point-to-point protocol. And again, those of you that have been around computers for a while remember the point-to-point protocol from the old dial-up modem days. The point-to-point protocol is an industry standard. It is interoperable between any type of WAN networking device that supports a serial connection. And it requires exactly one additional line of configuration to enable the point-to-point protocol. Now, something to point out, and we'll see this when we get into our lab, the encapsulation on both ends, whether it's HDLC or PPP, has to match on both ends of the point-to-point link. If we have one end set to HDLC and the other set to PPP, the link will not come up. And that's because even though both of them are fairly simple to set up and fairly simple to administer, they don't interoperate with each other. So let's talk a little bit about PPP, because it is the more complex of the two point-to-point protocols. It has 3 main components. The first is the encapsulation protocol itself. It's how the bits are put on the wire, or wires, because PPP actually supports multi-link. If you have multiple T1s between 2 locations, you can actually route traffic across both of them using the point-to-point protocol. The second is the LCP, or the Link Control Protocol. LCP maintains the data link layer 2 connection and checks for loopbacks and terminations and things like that at layer 2. And then finally we have NCP, or the Network Control Protocol. The NCP actually sends the various protocols across the link. Again, since PPP is a layer 2 construct, the NCP is what actually sends IP or IPX or SNA or whatever protocol you care to send across your WAN through the PPP tunnel. And that's pretty much it with our overview of point-to-point connections. In the next video, we'll actually configure 2 of these connections. We'll look at them and we'll break them, because that's what we do in labs. But for now, that concludes our overview of point-to-point connections.